When trying to fit text into specific designs, especially if that text is dynamically generated, it's sometimes necessary to truncate the text to make it fit. This can be done at the markup level, but in responsive environments, it's often necessary to dynamically truncate the text based on the current display. If you do it at the markup level, you may not get the result you're looking for. Using CSS, we can truncate text based on the outer bounds of the container, or we can specify the number of displayed lines. And here's what both of those approaches look like. In this example, I have a card where I want to control the height of the card. Specifically, I want to limit the headline in the card to a single line of text and the body text to a maximum of 4 lines. I enforce the single headline by setting its whitespace property to no wrap. So I'll say h2. White space, no wrap. That results in the text not wrapping inside the container, and therefore it spills out over the right-hand side, which is not what I want. So I'll also say overflow hidden. That will hide any overflow, so you can see here the text gets cut. But that also looks strange, so I need to do one more thing, and that's where the truncation comes in. I can then say text overflow ellipsis. And now the browser will say, okay, so I'm going to truncate the text and then add an ellipsis at the end, however much space I have. So if I go in here, I can change the width of this container. So let's see, right now, the width is set up here with a min value. So if I set this to like 40 ch, it'll be wider. And you can see the truncation happens automatically. So there's more space and this ellipsis appears at the end anyway. So this setup here using white space, no wrap, overflow hidden, and text overflow ellipses is a really clean way of truncating a single line of text. But that's the important part. This only works for a single line of text. If, on the other hand, I want to truncate a block of text like this and want to limit it to a certain number of lines, I have to use a different approach. And I need to warn you in advance, this approach is still kind of bleeding edge. It doesn't work consistently everywhere, and it has a browser prefix on it. Even so, let's try it to see what happens. So I'll grab the card paragraph. So I'll say card paragraph. And inside card paragraph, I'll first set the height I want. So that's the height of the container for the paragraph. So I'll set the height here to 4.5 rems, just to account for enough space. What you're seeing now is we get a container that's 4.5 rem, but the text is overflowing as it should. So that means we also need to set overflow to hidden. Now that will truncate the text, but we don't have proper truncation here. I'm also noticing the height isn't high enough, so maybe 5.5, no, 6.5 maybe. We'll just experiment until we hit it. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have the 4 lines we want, but we need that truncation ... at the end. To achieve that, I need to do a bit of CSS hacking or using some cutting edge features. So I'll first say display, and then set up -webkit -box. So this is a display property that will eventually make its way into all browsers, and it'll just be called box. But since it was introduced with WebKit and it's still not fully ratified, it is put in with the browser prefix. That's why we're saying WebKit box. This is necessary for the rest to work, but when I save this, you see nothing changes. We're just declaring this as a box display model. The next thing I need to do is set in WebKit and line clamp. And line clamp does exactly what it sounds like. It clamps the number of allowed lines. So in this case, I'll set line clamp to 4 and save. And again, nothing happens. That's because we need one more property. That one is called WebKit, again with the browser prefix, box orient vertical. Like with WebKit line clamp and WebKit box, this is still experimental, but it's actually supported by all modern browsers. So this will work. When I save it, look at that. We get this little ellipses at the end. And this is not dynamic. So if I go in and I change the line clamp to 3, it gets cut down to 3. Now, you'll also notice that what's happening here is the browser is just adding the ellipsis at the end of the 3rd line. It is not cutting the content. So the overflow here is still not working properly. And that means I need to reduce the height to maybe 4.5. So you need to do some work here to make sure everything is working properly. But with this approach, using display WebKit box, WebKit line clamp, and WebKit box orient, you can truncate multi-line text using CSS. Like I said, cutting edge, but works in all browsers. I expect in the near future, we'll see all of these features be baked into the browsers properly, and we won't have to prefix it. By that time, I'll probably update this video. But for now, you can do this, and it'll work in most browsers.